Okay, so we haven't been on YouTube in a while, but Molly, my producer here, has insisted that she's the talent of the channel, and she and myself figured what better way to start 2021 and bring back the channel than with, in her words, the best performing thing on our channel.
You make things up.
Molly's Mind.
No,
so
that's when we did a vote in the last live, and you said, asked if people like Molly's Mind. They said, are you here for Molly or Corin? Everyone said Molly.
So that being said, we're back with the Molly's Mind. Thank you guys for still subscribing to the channel. I know I don't put out too many videos, but you guys watch on Kyle and Corin and show love in that capacity. But yeah, so Molly's the talent, so I said, let's come back with a Molly's Mind. She's gonna run the show, ask some questions, share some of her thoughts. I'll chime in with my wild thinking. But I don't know, we just wanted to get back in 2021 and get in the good graces of everybody here and say what's up. 2020 sort of sucked, and rock with a Molly's Mind.
So let me just back up a little, because I don't have like a whole list. Like, I'm not going to interview you. I don't have a whole list of questions. But I thought, you know, we haven't done Molly's Mind. I was just looking today. In 7 months was our last Molly's Mind, and it was like shortly after. It was in June, I think, when everything was going on with all the different protests over the summer, and so it was like a racial topic that we talked about. And then you had my dad on the channel, so we haven't done a Molly's Mind since that. And then we did a live stream on your birthday, so that was in July. But other than that, like, we haven't done anything. And so I think we were just saying before we came on, it's hard because we don't have like a dedicated space, so we have to set up every time. This is totally like first world problems, but it's just annoying. Like, we don't have a lot of time between the girls and stuff. So anyways, we want to make more dedicated time to do this. I always like doing it with Corin and just kind of having the time to sit down and talk together on whatever topic we choose. But if you want to leave suggestions on Twitter or in the comments on topics that we can talk about, we'll do that. But this one,
nothing crazy, because I'm not getting into, like, you know, Wall Street bets and economical and Joe Biden's policy on this or that.
I don't think anybody's here to listen to you talk about
some people ask me that stuff. They'll send me a DM of like some crazy thing to talk about on Kyle and Corin. I'm like, yo, we're gonna talk about,
because they want Kyle to talk about that.
Yeah, I know, but
and
like,
that's like
their way of getting to Kyle. But it's like, if you want questions answered on like the new like gummy bears that came out at, like, that they're selling at the Dollar General or wherever, like, ask me that. I'll tell you my favorite, like, whatever chocolate bar, even though chocolate's trash. But I don't know. That's that. Don't send me some crazy. Don't send us.
Let me just clear up one chocolate thing really quick. White chocolate is still chocolate. If you hear Kyle and Corin say that it's white, so it's not chocolate, it's still chocolate. Just want to put that out there because it's still chocolate.
Whatever.
Okay.
And someone sent me something on the Zero bar, and it was like voted like all-time worst chocolate bar, and like that's probably why it didn't get picked up on the retail shelves, and you can only find it at these weird locations. It's a dust collector, like, so I'll tell Kyle that candy's trash. Zero bars are whack.
Okay, anyways, no one cares about the Zero bar. Okay, so there's lots going on anyways in the world. I mean, it's been crazy. Everybody knows that. So the last time we spoke was when all the protests and all of that was happening. And then obviously all the political stuff, and Trump's not in office anymore, and we have a new president, which is exciting, which I know there's still, you know, you wish it was Bernie, I wish it was Bernie, but anyways, it's not. So I wanted to just kind of ask you, and then like we could have a conversation about just what are your thoughts about not having Trump in office anymore, because last time we actually spoke about it, you were like, maybe he needs to get elected again and blow up the whole system. And then, you know, because if Biden wins, then it's basically like, you know, just going back to before, just kind of like a bunch of nothingness happening. So I wanted to ask you.
Well, I'll just say that, like, it is funny, and a lot of people say this, that, like, automatically when Joe Biden gets sworn in, that everything now seems like hunky-dory, and everything is just, like, fixed, it's fine, he's doing a good job, when in reality, like, he hasn't done a lot of the things that he said that he was going to do, like right as he got elected, like the $2,000 checks. They like did these word gymnastics that it's like, now we'll give you $1,400 plus the like $600 you already got to get $2,000. Like it's just shady, and it's like it. I guess I consider myself a Democrat, but like Democrats like hide under this umbrella that just everything is good because you're a Democrat, when in reality it's like, if you're an outsider and not a Democrat, you've got to be watching like mainstream, news outlets and be frustrated because the coverage is just night and day. Yes, granted, Trump was bad, but not everything is just the total flip opposite of that with Democrats, where everything is good. Like, and they don't cover any of that. Like, it's just everything's good now. There's a Democrat in office. Like, you guys did a great job of voting, and like this is how it's going to be. But it's like, if you just keep pretending that everything's fine because there's a Democrat in office, like that's how the next crazy person like Trump is going to get elected. So it's like, I watch all these TV shows, and granted it's garbage TV, like The View and all, like, Kelly and Ryan, and it's just like everybody's so happy right now that Joe Biden's there, and like, Georgia, you did a great job, you went out and voted. But it's like, next time, like the people who voted are going to still see like nothing happened for me. So it's like, I'm not voting again, and that's how someone crazy will win again.
Yeah, but it's like, so take someone like me who doesn't know the ins and outs of policies. No, so just like the average person, like, so you just said, like, I guess I would say I'm Democratic. So you would look at your ballot and you would say, I'm going to just vote for all these Democrat people regardless. Like, you don't know what policies they're running on. Yeah, sorry, I couldn't like get the words out. But you don't necessarily know. I mean, you just know, like, you have two choices, because even if it's like, besides when it's a primary and you have, a bunch of choices, but let's just say for the presidential election, you have two choices. You're going to go that way regardless, but you're saying people are going to just not come out to vote because they're like, they're not doing anything for me anyways. But you also have to look at the side, and my dad has said this, it's like you look at the lesser of two evils. Like, I think for a lot of people, and I know, I don't know if Kyle said it on one of his podcasts or a tweet, but he was like, something like how people, or I don't know if Kyle said it. Somebody said that, sorry, just like how people are like, it's like a relief, like the inauguration. It's just like a relief not having Trump in office. And I think for a lot of people, like, it is, because there's a lot of things when you have someone like Trump in office that go along with it, that when you have somebody who's the president of this country on Twitter,
it's a relief, but it's a relief to who? Like, it's a relief because
it's a relief to a lot of people that now we're not.
It's a phony relief because
it's not phony relief.
It is a phony relief because
you didn't even let me finish my point. Right, I let you talk for like 7 minutes.
Go. We've only been recording for 8 minutes.
Okay, but I'm just saying, like, you have to look at it even from that perspective. Like, so many people showed up to vote because they were like, we cannot have this person in office again. Like, so many more people than on both sides, because a lot of people were like, we need to have Trump in office again because we don't want a Democrat coming in, we don't want Sleepy Joe, whatever. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think it's a relief for a lot of people. So when you watch The View, you watch those shows, when you have someone in office like that, and now you see like this, I don't know her name,
the press secretary lady?
No, the woman in Congress. There's the one in Colorado, but the one in Georgia who got elected, who's like, she's a nut job. And you have people like that who like freely speak like that, which, I mean, it's better if they're like saying it publicly, so at least we know what you're dealing with and stuff. But it's like, you have people who walk around just treating people like garbage every day, because when you have a president of the country who tells people it's okay to treat people like that. So yeah, the policy stuff, obviously that's really important, but I'm just saying it's a sigh of relief for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. Like, I remember shortly after the election when Trump was like saying, you know, they're going to win, whatever, I made you text Kyle and I was like, is there any way he can stay in office? Because for another 4 years, and like, you've heard people close to you say, like, I don't know if I'll survive another 4 years under Trump if they cut, you know, certain things that he was doing. And so for some people, there's like a lot of reasons. So yeah, I mean,
but just to pretend and act like these issues are not still here because Trump's not in the presidency is like, I just wish the media would still cover like Biden the same way they covered Trump, like trying to
more critical.
I
think it will be more critical. I think it depends where you're getting your news from. I mean, and that's why
it's not true, because
it is
CNN
true.
And MSNBC, like he said, day one they would have $2,000 checks, and it's like they don't press him on any of that stuff. Whereas like I'm not. It's hard because I don't want to defend Trump, but it's just like every day they'd call him out on something that he promised, and Biden doesn't get that same like criticism.
And so I've never watched Fox News in my life, but did they press Trump that way on Fox News on the right?
No.
Okay, no. So if you're watching on the left and we now have a Democratic president, of course they're not going to pressure him the same way. If you're watching on the right, like, of course, hello.
But just because like there's a new person in office doesn't mean that like everything's perfect is what I'm trying to
say.
No,
I agree with you.
Just pretend so like, yeah, oh, I can sleep better at night. Like, that's on you. Like, there's still the same people out there.
No, that's not on you. That's not on people who like you have this Kyle Ritterman kid who lives not far from us, who you have a president who said he's like a fine young boy or whatever he said about him. You then have other people who are saying that's okay. Like, that's a scary thought to have just white supremacy not denounced by the president of our country. That is a scary thought. So that's not on me to have the president of the country we live in to say that's okay. That's not on us when we go to bed every night. Like, I hear what you're saying on the policy and stuff, but there's a lot of reasons why you can wake up when you have a Joe Biden in office and breathe a little bit of sigh of relief from that perspective.
Yes, I get
that.
But
I agree with you on I hear what you're saying. Like, it's not like we wake up, it's like, oh my gosh, now we're this great country and blah, blah, blah. Like, no, all the problems are still there, but you can, for certain reasons, breathe a sigh of relief.
Yes, I agree with you there, but I still think people should like push the politicians to do more and like do what they say. And it gets frustrating when you see how long it takes for certain policies to get changed, and like even minimum wage, like just getting to $15 is like this conversation that it's like we could maybe do it by 2023. But then like you see how quick they are to defend their buddies on Wall Street when something like the like GameStop thing happens, how quickly, you know, the conversations and like, oh, we'll look into it and everything changes and probably a new policy and law will get implemented because they're so quick to defend these rich billionaires that are on Wall Street. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's what's frustrating. That's why I don't get tied up in any of all this shit, because it's like, when you see how quickly they can move on something that affects them and their friends, and like there's actually like healthcare and like these $2,000 checks and like COVID policy and all this shit that would help really struggling people, local restaurant like businesses, and they get no help. It's like all these arguments and watching all these like corporate elitists and even just like news anchors who are probably getting paid really well, like you can't trust any of them, and like it's so like deflating, and it's hard to like have any hope for anything. Like I still have so much like I don't know what it is, like admiration maybe to people that are still passionate about fighting about this shit on Twitter, because it's like at the end of the day, nothing you're doing is going to affect what these politicians
are doing. Yeah, if everybody has your mindset,
but
that's not true. Like, you see people, I mean, the more people learn about it and the more people learn like that you know, how corrupt it is or whatever, like are more interested in it. Like the younger generation who has, you know, social media is huge. I mean, people have the power to influence in certain ways. I mean, even if you just look at
the whole Reddit thing is like Reddit is a whole industry
so
of
when,
young
but
kids
when you
doing,
say it's
yeah,
like,
like
you're not
that.
going to make a change, like, that's not true. I mean, if everybody had that mindset, nothing, but I mean, it takes a lot. It's not things that happen overnight. But I think for me personally, you know this, like, I've been trying to educate myself more on just in general around politics, because I feel like prior to, I don't know, whenever we went to that Bernie rally, when was that?
I don't know.
That was when Nix was born, I think, like 2018. So like 2 or 3 years ago or whatever, we went to a Bernie rally in Chicago, which was great. And that was like the first time I've ever done anything like that. And I literally think I lived under a rock in terms of anything politics related. Like, I would listen to your Kyle and Corin, and you
get your political takes from me.
No. I would listen to Kyle and Corin, and anything you guys talked about on there, that was like the extent of what, because I don't watch any, I don't watch any news show. I don't watch any of those talk shows, like nothing. I don't want to hear
Stephen Colbert at night because Molly doesn't want to hear it.
Yeah, I don't want to listen to that before I go to bed. And like Bill Maher.
Yeah.
I can't, I literally cannot even, like, I can't. The only one I could kind of listen to is John Oliver, because he's, like, funny sometimes. Yeah. But the rest, like, I can't. And I don't ever watch, like, CNN or Fox or anything like that. But anyway, so that was, like, the extent of my politics knowledge was what you and Kyle would talk about. And obviously, I know you guys both love Bernie and whatever, but that's about it. And so then with the election, I just started learning more, and now I've been trying to, like, actually learn more about how things work. And so it's interesting to learn that just kind of from a government perspective. Like, I didn't really pay attention in high school government to understand, how things work. But I think you're wrong in saying that people who, I don't think one person on Twitter who's getting it into with someone is going to change someone's mind on something. But at the end of the day, you never know. And, people who have big platforms, I mean, if you look at even just Kyle, who is someone in your life who has probably changed people's opinions on things and what they fight for and that kind of thing. So, I don't know. I think I hear what you're saying. Like, it's hard to have any hope. But
it's just, I'm just worried that, like, we're going to see the same thing in 4 years where we got a huge turnout of people, of young Democrats that voted Trump out of office, but that's because they were frustrated and they feel like we're going to get a stimulus check. And it's like, if all of this stuff keeps getting delayed and we keep praising,
do you think the stimulus check is the only reason why people voted?
It's probably one of the
I don't think
biggest
so.
reasons why.
70-something million people did not just vote because of a stimulus check.
There's obviously other reasons.
I don't think that's like the biggest thing. Like, I think there's a lot of other things, and 4 years is a long time.
I know, I get that, but if in 4 years they look back and they're like, I'm in the same fucking position that I was when I voted, like, screw this.
Yeah, but there's other things. Like, I don't know. Like, this is just where I disagree with you, because if pre-COVID, which in 2020, no one thought COVID was a thing. Like, no one, like, Trump probably would have won had it not been for COVID. So who even knows what's going to happen in 2024? Like, you just never know. I mean,
I know, but, like, this is, like, it's just the same wheel going around and around.
It's the same wheel always. Like, it flip-flops between Republicans and Democrats, and who even knows, And if Trump creates his own party, then that's going to really suck for the Republican Party.
I just hate the pretending and, like, the actual thought that, like, anyone in government's going to really help you. And that's why I love, like, the Reddit thing, because it's like everyone in Washington, like, that they're old, they're outdated, and, like, they can't keep up with young people and, like, all these new technology and social media platforms, that it takes, like, us, not me, because I'm not on Reddit, but, like, a smart gamer kid to, like, rally the troops and really shake shit up. And, like, that's what's cool is, like, I hope now there's a bunch of teachers that get on Reddit and they change, like, some shit or policy for them in education that, like, wouldn't get done necessarily if they had to rely on, like, whoever our, like, Secretary of Education and is doing it to benefit some donor or something.
Kind of going away from that topic, because I feel like I just wanted to get kind of your initial overview. Like, I feel like we can't have like an in-depth, knowledgeable conversation about politics because neither of us
Speak
are
for
like,
yourself.
okay. But about social media, and teachers and stuff. And to me, I mean, you know this, like for me, what I love to follow on Instagram is not like, yes, I like to follow my friends and see like their updates on their families or whatever, especially because we don't live near a lot of our friends. But I love like information accounts on Instagram. And I feel like that's where I get like a lot of parenting knowledge. It's where I get a lot of political stuff from unbiased, in my opinion, very unbiased accounts that share both sides and say like, here's what somebody on the left, like even just recently, this account I love to follow, she posted on the Mexico City policy, which has to do with, I'm probably going to say this wrong, but I believe it's like funding abortions or like funding like Planned Parenthood type places who perform abortions and other type of contraceptives. And then they said, here's why, like Trump put the policy back in office and then Biden did an executive order to reverse that. Clinton had it reversed from Bush, who had it on. Like, so Republicans are for it, Democrats are against it because they can fund abortions with it. Mm-hmm. And it showed like, here's why someone on the left would say they are for that, and here's why someone on the right would say. So it shows like both sides and like what the different arguments are. And so I like something like that where you can learn like, why is somebody on the right fighting so hard? And they just talked about it from the trans gender executive order, or I don't know what it was specifically, but and like a lot of the argument was in women's sports, like people are going to try to get ahead in that, and it said from the left viewpoint, from the right viewpoint. Anyways, my point being, on social media, and you mentioned teachers, I think there could be, you know, and you can do so much with social media, with getting a lot of different information out there, a lot of false information, but a lot of really positive information and resources for people. So it's just interesting to see how that will kind of change over time and evolve into a scary place, but also a very informative place, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, social media is a beast. I tend to think, you don't think I've gone on like big hiatuses off social media, but I feel like I have. 3
days is not a hiatus. No, I don't even think you've gone 3 days.
I did
What's
a while.
Your longest?
I don't know, I did a couple weeks once on like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. But like, at the end of the day, I feel like you're going to find out the information, like a big news story you can find out without being on social media. I don't think at the end of the day, you even knowing all that shit, like what does that even do? Like, you have your opinion on an issue, and like you can find out what the policy is in your state if it ever arises in your situation. But like, why does it even matter to know like this side thinks that side thinks that, here's this, here's that? Like, who cares about some Mexico shit? Like, does that affect your daily life? Well, it's called the Mexico
City policy because it has to do with like foreign aid or something like that. I'm probably butchering that. I don't know. But it's why it's not about Mexico.
No, I know. But at the end of the day, like, does it affect your daily life?
It could. It could affect your daily life, because if there's no funding for that, or if, let's say, the U.S., we're not going to get into deep on abortions, but I'm just saying, like, those type of things, or transgender, like, what if that was our kids? Like, those things could impact your life. So to know different things. But it's like,
we don't have to know everything.
No, you don't have to know everything.
That situation arises, then maybe we look into it and start doing research.
You don't need to know everything. But some things at some point in your life, like let's even just say segregation, when that, you know, that's obviously a bigger one, but when different laws and things came out about that, or Title IX, all of those things could impact your life. No, you're right.
No, I get that.
You're right. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to know every case. I'm interested in basketball.
I don't need to start doing research on Hondas, because one day I might buy a Honda, and then it's like I need to know the backstory of if the CEO of Honda did this or that. Like, I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. Why do I need to follow all these accounts?
You're right.
Worry about all this shit for stuff that doesn't pertain to me.
And you know what the beauty of social media is if you don't want to follow those accounts, then don't. Just click unfollow, or just never follow in the first place. Like,
That's what I'm saying. Like,
if you want to, you can. If you don't want to, my point was just like the person's account that I'm referring to, she was a high school government teacher. So my point was like just in terms of education for people who are looking for those.
I'm just
resources.
skeptical of anyone who's gotten their knowledge from our system of education, because it's all built on lies. Like,
no, yeah, you're right.
Everything that we've been taught is a lie, or like not told to us.
You just said I'm skeptical for anybody who gets their knowledge from our education. Everyone, unless you weren't born in America, got your education from somewhere in America.
I know, so it's like you're putting your trust in this lady.
Just don't trust anybody in the entire country because you were educated in the U.S.
Pretty much, piece it together yourself,
Piece it together yourself. Yeah, of course, there's like a lot of stuff that's not true, but like you have to have some basis of knowledge, like taking the information and then saying, wow, we learned this about, like even just women's right to vote. When people say, oh my gosh, it's been however many years since women could vote, that's white women. Like black women could vote like way later. So you don't learn all these things in school. And so there's things that come out like about Juneteenth or whatever that you weren't taught that in just your regular America, public school system. And so that's true. But at the same time, like people do other kind of research. Like there's like that are sources, or you can get things from primary sources. I'm not doing that primary source research, but there are people who do, and they'll cite it.
Everyone has a slant. Everyone has an agenda. Everyone's trying to do something. Like
you're just
this lady's just not on Instagram to give you her like.
Well, of course she makes money.
That's what I'm saying. Like so, like you always tell me about these people on social media that are like, she's genuine. Like what she tells you, like she really means it. And it's like she'll like tag Molly will tag me in something that's like a promo code for a CPR class or something. And she's like, no, she really, like, if she's putting a promo code, that means you really need to do it. It's like,
that's
no,
that's
not the case. Like, it's just, everyone is trying to make money. Like,
yes, everyone is trying to make money, but I feel like
that's why if you watch this channel, I'm just keeping it real. Like, I'm just telling you, like, if you watch it for entertainment and enjoyment, that's what's up. But like, I'm not trying to like do whatever. Like, it's cool that we talk, but like, I'm not putting out information for people and being like, decide for yourself what you think is true. Like, no, like, fuck that. That's not for me to do.
Yeah, but we're even putting information out there. Someone could be like, these people are complete idiots. I would never trust anything they said. Corin sends a food recommendation on zero bars or whatever, or that seltzer he drinks. You can say, I never trust Corin. That stuff is poison, blah, blah, whatever. Like, because he was educated in the U.S. and every single school district, every single thing they have ever taught you, it's all a lie. Don't believe anything. Just go around and be a negative Nancy for the rest of your life. Like,
I feel like I have a good palate and I have a good understanding of combinations.
This is what I deal with. Like, he comes up with this nonsense.
I'm sort of making the argument for that education lady, if you would let me finish my point. It's like, she might think that she has a good understanding of politics and how to feed it out to people. Similar to me, where it's like, I know that with my like Chinese food recipe, if you put the rice on the bottom, noodles on top, the boneless spare ribs on top of that, and sprinkle some soy sauce on it, you'll have a banging ass meal.
That's subjective. That is subjective. When she says this is in the Constitution, it's in Article 1, Section 14, that is not subjective. That is fact. That is a fact. Like,
mine's
the
a fact also.
That you're like, no, like,
it's a fact that if you put the rice with the noodles, with the boneless spare ribs, with sprinkled soy sauce, that it's a fact that it'll be banging.
You, it's banging. To me, that's nasty. But to each their own, And the same with, like, social media, like, who I choose to follow. And that's with anybody. Who you want. You can only... You can only digest so much information, especially on the internet. I mean, you have YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, Twitch, TikTok, Tinder, I don't know.
Did you say Twitch?
I said Twitch. I don't even know what Twitch is, but I know that's something.
There's like an audio book.
There's podcasts. Like, there's just so much stuff. And what's great is you can choose what you want to consume or what you don't want to consume. Well, that's what I said to Kyle,
is like, there's so much stuff out there, but you still see people like, I need a new podcast, I need a new show, I need a new
But
thing.
This is what I said to you in rebuttal to that, is like for me personally,
like people craving for Corin, like just find some
Corin
other
was
shit.
like, if you're looking for Kyle and Corin and we didn't do it, just go find something else. And then
Like, there's probably a
but
similar
that's the
Kyle and
point.
Corin
When somebody
out there.
says, I love the Kyle and Corin podcast, is there something else that's similar? And you're like, why are you asking recommendations? Just go watch Kyle and Corin. Well, one hasn't come out. So what's something similar that I could listen to in the meantime? Like, that's why people ask for recommendations, or a lot of people do a podcast once a week. And so in the meantime, if they're driving to work 5 days a week, they need 5 different podcasts to listen to, and your favorite only does once a week. That's why people ask for recommendations. And there's just a lot of content out there. There's a lot of stuff that's not true. There's a lot of stuff that is true. There's a lot of stuff. You can just decide whatever you want to watch and whatever you want to digest and whatever you want to listen to. And that is the beauty of it, okay? Like, I just feel like, back to the CPR code person that I follow, I was sending that to you to just say that it is important. Like, kids could choke really quickly.
And you also preface it
because I knew
with like this,
I knew.
No, before you even sent me that one video, it was like, she's honest. Like,
because
she won't
I
tell
knew
like,
you were
fuck
gonna
outta
say,
here.
I knew you, I
Like-
knew you were gonna say to me, like, she's just trying to make money. Like, that's your first go-to. It's always like,
It's
she's
almost
just
worse
trying to
because
make
the
money.
video you sent me was like, here's, I know this kid and he got this. And then the next one was like, use my code. And then there was a follow-up video that was even like, no, really, like, use the code and do this. It was like, we get it. Like, we if we saw your code, we would use it. But like, don't hit me 3 times with your code to do the CPR class. Like, that to me is not some authentic
Okay.
ass.
Well, anyways, I don't know. I don't even
What
know
else you
where
got
that-
on your agenda?
I don't know. I was gonna ask you we talked just a little bit. You started this by saying 2020 was a bad year. And so I think for a lot of people, for a lot of reasons, like countless people died in 2020, and you know, it was a really terrible year for a lot of people. But for a lot of people, it wasn't a terrible year. Me. I think in general, I mean, for me, like, I am not a glass half empty type of person. Like, I don't like to sit here and just be like, oh, you know, what a negative life. Like, I think that if you can try to look for the positive things in your life, you're going to just have a much more happier outlook on life than if you sit here and you're like, oh, poor me every single day. I think there are people who have a lot of challenges and struggles and things, and everyone deals with their own difficult things. But in general, for me personally, I had a baby in 2020, and then was on maternity leave, and then really never went back to work in the office. I did like a couple of days, but then our state went back to like a stay-at-home order type thing. So both of us have been basically home for an entire year at this point, because when we had the baby, you also got leave, and then we were both home. So like, we've been home almost together every single day, except for when you went to Texas, for almost an entire year. And so to give more context, to give more context to that, we both traveled a lot for our jobs prior, and so we had a lot of time away. But I've actually enjoyed being home with you more and spending more time with you most days. So for me, I didn't think it was a bad year. Like, we spent a lot of time with our kids and got to spend like the first year of life with our daughter, which we didn't get to do with Nix, and we didn't get, you know, to see all those things. So I personally made the most out of it as much as we could. Like, I feel like I some days haven't left my house in like 2 weeks, and I just sit inside and I'm like, what is life? But it's been, for me, not a bad year. So I was going to ask you like what your thoughts on the past year have been, just spending so much time with me and, you know, being home so much.
Amazing.
But apparently it's been terrible for you.
It's been the best year ever. I can do everything. No, I don't know. I mean, like, it's kind of like you're so sheltered, you just see what's on TV and just everything looks bad for 2020. Like, obviously a lot of people passed away. So people, you know, could be upset in that regard, in the pandemic. but you still see a little glimpse of it, like, you know, our neighbors putting up Trump signs and stuff like that, like, is a little reminder that, like, there's still the real world right around you that is, you know, messed up.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think with Donald Trump in office, like, it just shed light on so many, like, issues we have as a country. It's almost like having, not that friend, but having someone tell you, you know, you have all this shit on your face. Like, you would prefer that and see that we have all these issues that you can try and, like, fix, than, like, it still just be what it is, what it's turning back into with Biden is just like, we're all good. Like, everything's fine. Like, here's the inauguration. Here's J-Lo singing. But then, like, it's 10 blocks deep is like, there's these army people with guns protecting you so you can have these glamorous fireworks show. But, like, shit is just not all perfect, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
but,
it could be nice.
Okay, besides the inauguration, because he's not the first president who's done it. He's not the last president. Of course, like, you can look at it that way and say all these things, but what do you think happened, you know, what do you think was going on in, let's just say, like, 1961 when there was an election? I don't know if that was a year, but
not.
Whatever. You know, when there was still segregation, or there was still, you know, when Martin Luther King was still alive, like, you think they were like, well, let's cancel the inauguration because, no, it's the same thing. Like, I mean, obviously it's different times, but my point is like, there was still, it's just tradition, like, whatever, it is what it is. Like, that's what it is. Like, that's kind of besides the point, in my opinion. Like, I don't think that's the worst of it. But it is interesting because with COVID, it feels very like you're well, at least we are, in our own little bubble, in our own house. But then you're right. Like, we go down the street, we see Trump signs, we see this stuff happening in Kenosha, which is not far from us. You have these conversations, and when you say, like, someone might, if you have stuff on your face, you want someone to tell you, you want these things to come out. So it is, like I was saying with the people in Congress, like with those two representatives, it's scary that those people are in office, but it's good that you know that that's,
it's good and bad. So we had, this is an example, we had a package shipped to a neighbor's house of ours who we saw had a Trump flag on their house, and Molly, it was Molly's package, so I told her that she has to go up to the door to get it, and she didn't want to do it because she's black, and said that I would be better suited to go up and get the package because the Trump supporter, this was after the riots and everything. But if you didn't see that they had a Trump flag, you probably would have went up to their house, got the package, and everything would have been fine.
But at the same time, everything is more heightened right now.
Yeah.
This was like 2 days after the inauguration. So this was like last week, 2 weeks ago. I don't know. Whenever it was. It was recently. It was in January. And so everything is heightened right now, and that was like, you know, my concern. Our neighborhood is fine. We like our neighborhood. We have the nicest neighbors. We've never had any issue.
They're nice. I wouldn't say. There's probably nicer people than them.
Okay.
They're not the nicest.
They're super nice.
They're super nice, but there's probably nicer people.
Okay, they're nice, okay? We have nice neighbors.
Yes, you can't say they're the nicest.
Okay. So anyways, I would have never thought twice about that before because a while ago, remember when, like, a package of white powder came to our door? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Like, I accidentally opened it, and their package came to our house and my package went to their house, and I opened it and it was a package of just white powder.
Yeah, it was like flour.
It ended up being flour, but I had no idea what it was. It was just like a package came to our house and it was like white powder everywhere, and it was from Amazon. So I was like, this is really shady, and I had no problem going to the neighbor's house to say, like, hey, did you get my package? I got yours. She's like, oh yeah, mine was flour. And I was like, oh, okay. But because everything is heightened right now, that is why I wanted Corin to go. Like, the neighbor's house that this particular package went to last week, we've never met them before, and we see them flying their Trump flag and stuff. And so I was just being
you
cautious.
Want to use me as a sacrificial?
Yeah, I did. And I called 3 family members, and they all agreed with me. So.
All of her family members.
Yeah, because they're all black. And I said, how do you feel we should deal with this? And they said Corin should go.
What if I called my family members and said that it was her package?
And I know people are going to
to
take that all Trump supporters aren't racist. Okay, no, but if you are flying a Trump flag, you are saying that is okay with you, and so that's not okay with me.
I said that to my brother. I'll say that every Trump.
I'm not saying that every Trump supporter is, and I even gone to set as far as say, like, we know people who have voted for Trump who, you know, are very, you know, certain policies are like very aligned Republican, and it's not that they support Trump, but they are, but all I'm saying is if you're flying a Trump flag, you are, like, if you, after all of those debates are like, let me proudly put out my flag up on my flagpole and take down my Notre Dame football flag, then...
That's what I've said about Trump supporters. They'll be the first to, like, you know, in their grass with their lawnmower, spell out Trump's name or, like, get a Trump tattoo. Like, they are
That's because
faithful.
If you are a faithful supporter in that way... It's not about the policy for you.
Yeah, I know.
It's not about that for you. It's like this MAGA culture for you. So, like, there's a difference in my mind.
But that's why I like Bernie so much, is because, like, he was the same as Trump in the regard where he had, like, such a passionate fan base, but he wanted to do the exact opposite of what Trump wanted to do, which is just, like, help people.
Yeah, and it's like, the more you like read about it, it's like, how can you be against Medicare for all? Like, how could you not want that? How could you not want everybody to be able to get access to healthcare? Like, what kind of values do you have if you're like, sorry, if you don't have enough money, I don't want you to get healthcare. I don't want you to get treatment. I don't want you to be able to pay for medication.
That's why this whole, even, I know, like, I don't know much about it. You don't know much about it, but, like, the whole Wall Street thing is just so...
I don't know anything about it.
No, but it's just so telling because, like, on the bare bones of what I do know is just, like, not rich people made a lot of money because they did whatever they had to do. And and it's like the rich people are pissed, and it's like people on TV are defending them now, like the rich people, and like the app is like now shutting down, or you can't do certain things.
Robinhood?
Yeah, it's like...
No, yeah, that's what they said is Robinhood, but there'll be like an investigation, whatever. I mean, I feel like...
Well, like, no one's out to help just the working class citizens. No,
they're not.
And
yeah, it's sad. I mean, that's what's like just so crazy is like, you know, you read things like, why does someone care if someone, you know, is gay? Like, just things like, why do people care about things that, like, why do you care if everybody has healthcare? You know, because people are like, well, that's going to take money from me. That's going to, you know, it's going to be all the insurance company. There's like all these other reasons.
When you
but
say
it's like,
you had a good 2020, it's almost like, is that...
You act like prior to 2020, those weren't issues.
No, I'm not talking about the issues. But I'm saying, like, how do you separate you from, like, the greater whole, you know? Like, so it's like, yeah, you had a good 2020, but if you were to, like, put it on a weighted scale, that shit would be a C- because you're A+ if you were thinking larger picture. Like, so how do
It's all relative. Like, to me, for... you know, what was the best year of my life? I don't know. Like, I'm not thinking back and be like, oh my God, every single thing that happened in 2016, well, Trump got elected in 2016. So that definitely, you know, does that disqualify that as being the best year of my life? We got married in that year. We bought a house in that year. Like, a lot of really great, we went to Maui, like a lot of really fun things happened in that year for us.
I guess issues that affect like the masses that.
But there's a lot of issues that affect the masses every single year. I mean, yes, 2020, a pandemic came through, but if I look at it, my sister, who I usually get to see once a year, spent like 3 or 4 months at our house with us because she couldn't get back into China, and then she got stuck in another country, and, you know, all of those things would not have happened had it not been for 2020. We also got to spend extended period of time with our family in New York at their house. So like, no, but I'm just, no. You asked me specifically about my year 2020, and I'm saying because of all those things that happened, these are things that happened as a as a result of what the year was. So like, because a lot of heavy stuff is happening in the world, what does that mean for my individual experience and me saying it wasn't a good year for me?
I guess I'm trying to say is that, like, there's no arguments for everybody to not have health care or something like that.
What is it? That is completely, like, how does not everybody having health care have to do anything with the year 2020? No, there's not, because
I'm not trying to downplay your 2020. I'm trying to help you, and I'm
not trying to say 2020 was the best year ever. It wasn't. There was a lot of things. You had asked me, like, how does all that stuff that happened in 2020, but you said it was a good year. I'm just saying, in my personal life, the things that happened made it to be a good year. But in general, all of the policy issues, people not having health care, the rich getting richer, the poor getting poorer, that was not new. That wasn't like Jan 1, 2020, let's not have health care. That's been a thing. So, you know, that's something that, you know, maybe we never see the day in the US that everybody has health care, which is sad and disgusting.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I don't know. You never know. Like, because you said, like, look at the movement Bernie. Like, nobody knew who Bernie was prior to what?
2016, I think.
Well, it was a little bit before that because, you know, the primary with Hillary, probably like 2014.
Maybe, I don't know.
But all of the people who were following him. So, like, people still believe that, you know, people still love Bernie. People still want to see healthcare for all. So you need people who are on social media fighting for these things to bring awareness to things. And then you have other people who run, like other people like AOC who are like fighting for these types of things. And hopefully there's change. But if everybody just takes the approach of like, oh, we're never going to make change, even though you're not gonna, somebody might. But I don't know. So anyways.
What else you got?
The last thing I have written down here is cancel culture that I wanted to ask your opinion on. We might have spoke about this before, or we like had it as a list topic, and I wanted to just kind of get your thoughts on it in general, and then I'll add more of what.
Oh, I'm not a big thought guy. That's why I'm not good for these shows. But I don't know. I mean, it's like hard to say someone can't be on your platform or can't be speaking, but then again, I just bring it back to like the individual, and if you're like vulnerable enough to listen to someone and be swayed by someone, then like that's on you. And there's a lot of people out there. I think everyone should be allowed on like any platforms, even if they're saying some crazy shit, but like it goes down to more of just like the person. Like all those people at the riots are just, in my opinion, just like lost losers that like have no direction in life, and they found someone or something that they're attached to. Like, just people have to find that in a different direction. Like, it's like people are so sorry when they just idolize someone that much, you know? And it's not on the person saying the crazy shit, it's on the people that are like following them, you know, to like be swayed by that person, which is even more sad. So I don't know. I think everyone should be allowed to say whatever they want, and you know, but like,
well, within reason. Like, you can't yell fire in a burning building.
You can't like say stuff that'll like put people in harm in that, like. Yeah,
but I think this is what bothers me about when people call it cancel culture all the time. They're like, oh my God, it's cancel culture. Oh my God, it's cancel culture. I really think, and I'm not talking about Trump being removed from Twitter. Like, you can have your thoughts on that, whatever. But I mean, like, in general, there's so much like, if you call someone out or something, and then it's like, there's a difference between being held accountable and calling it cancel culture. So like, if you think back to Ray Rice, and you know, when he hit his girlfriend or whatever, and then it was like all out there and stuff, and then he wasn't allowed to play again, and it's like, that could be considered cancel culture, right? Or you could say he was being held accountable, but then you have other people who've done the same thing and are allowed to play again. But in general now, anytime someone's like gonna unfollow someone, or they say, I've ended this partnership because X, Y, and Z, even if they don't say that person's name, they're like, what is all this cancel culture? And it's like, there's a difference between being accountable, and let's say I own a company and I'm working with you and you do all these like super racist things, and I'm like, we've decided to end our partnership with Corin because X, Y, and Z. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, enough of the cancel culture. And it's like, there's a difference between, like, we're holding you accountable as a partner and now we're going to end that relationship, you know? So it's like...
Yeah, but there's also, like, when can someone grow from a mistake they made?
Depends on what the mistake is.
I agree. That's what it's like. It all varies on what happens and what the situation is. I know, I get frustrated when I see like an athlete or something who had like a racist tweet in the past or something like that. But it's like, where do you have that, like, try to have that forgiveness of like, all right, they were 14, they said something dumb, have they learned and grown from it? But then it's like, I was that age, I was never like tweeting that, like writing that stuff. So it's like,
yeah, but I feel like people can change, and that's what I was saying too before. Like you said, why do I care how the left looks at things or how the right looks at things? Is you might take that information and you say, wow, that makes sense. Or you might have been brought up in a home where that's all your parents are telling you is racist stuff or teaching you those ways, but you come out the other side and you move from little hole in the wall Nebraska to New York City and see, like, people don't live this way. Like, there's more, you know, and you learn from those things. And so I think there's an ability to learn from your past mistakes, to learn and to grow. But there's also a difference between when someone says those things and then they act in the exact same way, they get another chance, they come back and it's like the same thing. Yeah. And then it's like, no, you haven't learned. And so again, there's a difference between kind of being held accountable, and what being held accountable, I think, depends on what happened. And then a difference between like, oh my gosh, everybody go comment, like, cancel this person, cancel this person, cancel this person. But, you know, holding people accountable. I guess that just kind of, I just was asking because I think there is a lot of stuff that would fall under cancel culture, but there is a lot of stuff where, like, I see companies that, you know, like a recent example is because I said before, I follow all these different mom accounts and, like, that's where I get a lot of information. There's this one that is like this baby sleep course. She has like millions of followers on Instagram. Had someone pulled up, because it's public knowledge that public information that she donated to Trump over the last 4 years. But then we'll post, like, on Martin Luther King Day, like a whole thing. We'll like post a blackout square, like all those things. And people are like, how can you be donating to Trump, but then kind of presenting yourself in the way that, like, I'm an ally? And so the other big accounts that I follow that also have like millions of followers were like, we've recently ended our partnership with this. I mean, I'm just giving you the context.
Social media is just such a, like...
hold on, let me finish. Because when you as a company have, like, promoted, like, let's just say, I'm not going to name where you work, but if you work somewhere and you work with a company and then you see, or you work with an influencer who does all this stuff and that doesn't align with, if you don't make a statement, then everybody's like, how are you, like, like, that's my point. It's like, they're holding themselves accountable to be like, we're ending this partnership. So in my mind, like, that's not cancel culture.
I really don't, like, I get it, but then it's like, I don't know. I just think social media is just so fake and phony, and, like, it's tough because I think I've spoken about this before, but it's like, we used to go to a gym and there was this guy there who was super cool. And then it's like, you go on social media and everything's like Trump and like all this shit. And it's just like, now I hate this guy. But like, without all of that social media, I think we would have been fine. Yeah. Because like, I still would have had a conversation with him outside of, no, someone else. She's writing down a name, but like, the bald guy. Starts with that letter. Whatever. It's just, I don't know. That's why if you go to my Twitter, I don't try to like be too serious and like do all this shit, because at the end of the day, like, nothing is going to get accomplished. Like, those people you're talking about are still going to have millions of followers. They'll still get some partnership somewhere. That's it.
But the thing is, as a consumer, like, you don't realize how much, like, power you have with your dollars.
We don't have power with our dollars. Like, I'm learning about
Okay,
Johnson
so
& Johnson
all those
vaccine.
people who bought GameStop shares, whatever, they didn't have power with their dollars.
We
Yeah,
do,
they
but,
did.
like, at the end of the day, like, the people who are rich are still going to be rich.
Yes, they are. But like,
No
if we
one's-
just live our life just always thinking it's only about the people who are rich, it's not. Like, there's. Yeah, but that's the 1%. That's the top 1%.
Not even-
Everybody else of us who is like down here and like whatever percent we're in,
We're just
like,
all screwed. Like,
okay, well, whatever. My point is,
You watch
if
some
I'm
Johnson & Johnson.
deciding where I want to spend my dollars, whether it's making a difference or not, that's my choice. Just like how I say I don't want to shop at Hobby Lobby or I prefer to shop at this store over this store, that's my choice. Like how I want to spend my money and who I want to give my dollars to. I don't care if it's making a difference or not. It makes a difference on my conscience of where I'm putting my dollars. Yes, at the end of the day, the CEO of like every big company is making a huge profit. Okay, fine. But if I know the values of that company are not aligned with mine, I don't want to support them. That's my choice. I earn my money and I can do what I want with it, and that's that. Okay?
Oh, man. All this gets down to is if you haven't subscribed to Corin's World, tell your friend, because there's no corporate. I don't know. No, in all seriousness, social media sucks.
Says the person who's on it. Probably, if we look at your screen time, like how long, you're
Well, yeah, I
probably
hate that
spend
iPhone
like
does
8
the
hours a
screen time
day.
thing. But I just hate the sugar coating of that things are good and everything's fine and glamorous and, you know, because they're not, and like things are still not good with Biden, and they're like, he's obviously not as bad as Trump, and maybe you can sleep better at night, but like he still has to be held accountable. And like I'm so tired of hearing all these stories of like with I don't know, I mean the Wall Street thing is just important now because you see like the head of the SEC.
See, that's one like you've mentioned like 7 times, and it has absolutely zero impact on your life right now.
No, but that's something.
Well,
that
how is
might,
that gonna
because
impact your life?
It's
Because do you own any stock in GameStop? Are you on Robinhood?
No, but it's just exposing. No. It's exposing all this government shit even more than how corrupt everything is, and just like stamping home the fact that like we're not getting any closer to anything because.
Is GameStop bringing you closer to anything?
No, the press secretary lady like not answering questions. I don't know. I'm checked out of politics.
Anyways, we need some happier, brighter topics to...
Here's a topic. This seltzer is very good from Target, but this package I bought had all warped bottoms to it, so it doesn't stand up straight, which is very frustrating. If you're going to promote and sell a product, at least make sure your cans are properly...
That usually happens when they're, like, frozen, and then they, like, pop out, and then...
Oh, that could be it.
Like, so do you think it...
Oh, maybe they went
froze
bad.
And then
it's usually probably bad if it went frozen.
Yeah.
Either that or it got dropped.
But why would the bottom pop out like that?
I don't know, but Target, fix your cans.
Target's definitely watching this. All right, it sounds like Nyx is about to
Pop
bust in here. So, great chat.
Welcome back to
You
Molly's
can see we
Mind.
still don't agree on anything, but...
Who are you here for, Molly or me? All right, well, that was Molly's Mind. You got anything else?
No.
Okay.
Give us some topics.
Yeah. Peace. Or peace.